As an Iranian Australian and as a lawyer, I've been very vocal about my dislike for and my challenging of the powers that be in Iran declaring that they are making a law for the execution of political prisoners. And somehow my credentials as both an Iranian who understands Iran's zeitgeist perhaps better than most, although I'm no expert, or as a lawyer who understands the law better than most, even though I accept that I'm not an expert, has been challenged seemingly by a vast raft of people who jumped onto the comments and talked about how it's just a proposed law, it hasn't happened yet. And at first I brushed these comments off thinking that they were the banal ravings of the insane. But it appears that there's almost a targeted campaign to spread misinformation about this topic. And I think it's important that we nip this in the bud. Iran has sentenced several people to death. That's happened. That's a reality. And they were sentenced for similar offenses to the charges that the other people have been held in. And this regime in 1988 did exactly the same thing, taking the lives of between 2,000 to 30,000 people. Estimates are spotty, but we know a lot of people, all of whom represented a threat to the regime. And when you have 227 people of the legislature, keep in mind this is not a fairly elected legislature, urging the judiciary, keep in mind this is not a fairly elected judiciary, to exercise the executive power in such a way as to take the lives of the protesters, that's a real danger. It's a danger because they've already sentenced people to death in kangaroo trials recently. They've done it in the past and have form for doing it. They're screaming loudly that they're going to do this. And yet, because the law hasn't passed yet, for some reason it's misinformation for us to be spreading this story far and wide. Let me give you an example. If 2/3 of Australia's parliament wrote to the head of the judiciary and said, we want a law that says that anyone who is involved with anti-Australian rhetoric, and we'll define that how we see fit, should be put to death, do you think it would be not okay for us to be outraged and talking about this because the law hasn't passed yet? The only thing that is stopping the government from taking drastic action against Iranian civilians is the awareness of this. The second the spotlight shifts to another issue, they will do what they have threatened to do. So it falls to everyone to amplify the voices of the people who are living in actual danger and who are actually putting their lives at risk to get this information out to us. And their lived experience plus their knowledge trumps the banal ravings of someone who doesn't understand the system.